The author of the book, Trumped Up, How Criminalization of Political Differences Endangers Democracy. Harvard Law School professor Alan Dershowitz is with us. Professor, good to see you. Thanks for being back.
Thank you.
Let me go to this story. It's too important, and it's an issue I know you and I have agreed on over the years. Most Americans, I doubt, know. We give the Palestinians money. The Palestinians pay families money of those who kill Israelis and Americans. That is outrageous waste of taxpayer dollars. Thoughts?
Well, it's worse than that. It incentivizes murders. But I think that President Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel is the perfect response to President Obama's outrageous orchestration of the Security Council resolution, which he pushed through as a lame duck that declared the Western Wall to be illegally occupied territory, the Hebrew University, the Hadassah Hospital, the Jewish Quarter, according to this resolution that was basically pushed through by Obama. These are outrageously flagrant violations of international law. The best response to that horrible resolution is for the president to say, we don't accept the UN resolution, and the best proof of it is we're going to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. You say it's occupied, we say it's the capital. Perfect response.
Agreed. Let's go to Democratic Senate and ranking member of the Senate Judiciary, Dianne Feinstein, claiming an obstruction of justice case is forming against the president. You've had very strong reaction to that. Is it possible? People cite Nixon. They cite the Clinton affair. Is there any obstruction of justice, and can you cite that against a sitting president?
Well, those cases both support my position that you cannot charge a sitting president with obstruction of justice if he simply implements his own constitutional obligations under Article 2. What happened in the Nixon case is they charged him with obstruction of justice for telling his subordinates to lie, for destroying evidence of paying hush money. In the Clinton case, they cited him for obstruction for telling witnesses to lie. Here, what they're saying is the president committed obstruction of justice by firing Comey, which he had a perfect right to do. Comey said that himself. And if he were to pardon somebody like Flynn. But you cannot hold a president criminally responsible for exercising his constitutional authority. Remember, it's not only the president who has this kind of immunity. Senators have immunity from prosecution. Judges have immunity from prosecution if they perform their constitutionally appropriate actions. That's what our system of checks and balances is all about.
Let me ask you about this particular fact. You have this guy Strzok. Then you have, I believe, somebody, I find his record atrocious, Andrew Weissman, and this team that Robert Mueller has put together. In the case of James Comey and this guy Strzok, how can you possibly be drafting an exoneration of Hillary Clinton before the investigation was not only ever completed, but the key people in the investigation, including Hillary, weren't even interviewed up to that point? How is that possible? And does that mean that needs to be relitigated or reinvestigated?
Well, first of all, Strzok should have recused himself. Even if other people didn't know about his tweets, he knew about them. He knew he had a bias against Trump and in favor of Clinton. He should have recused himself. Look, I'm against using the criminal justice system to target political enemies, whether the political enemy is Hillary Clinton, whether the political enemy is Donald Trump. I want to see a ceasefire. I want to see us not use the criminal justice system as a weapon against our political enemies. I don't think Hillary Clinton should have been investigated and prosecuted. I don't think Donald Trump should be investigated and prosecuted. I think if you don't like what a candidate did, you vote against them. But you don't try to create criminal actions, whether it be espionage against Hillary Clinton or obstruction of justice against Donald Trump.
If you had 33,000 subpoenaed emails, or if I had 33,000 subpoenaed emails, and I decided I'm going to delete them, and I decided I'm going to acid wash the hard drives, and I decided that that somebody that works for me is going to bust up the BlackBerries, I think I would be calling you and saying, Alan Dershowitz, you may disagree with some of my politics, but I need you to defend me. I don't think any other American would ever get away with that. Isn't that obstruction?
Well, you mentioned the Arthur Anderson case. In fact, I think that was one of the issues in that case. You have to show a specific intent to destroy evidence that you know is under subpoena. What often happens is that companies routinely destroy documents, routinely do things. You have to show a very high level of specific intent. I don't think it was there in the Arthur Anderson case. I don't think it was there in the Hillary Clinton
case. Well, let me ask you, but if you delete 33,000...
I want to make sure we don't politicize criminal,
I understand, and I actually think we've got to be careful. I'm not disagreeing with you. But if 33,000 emails are subpoenaed and you delete them, and then not only do you delete them, you acid wash and bleach pit them, and then you destroy the other devices they may be on, that doesn't show intention to you?
Well, you have to demonstrate the chronology. You have to show when they were destroyed, who destroyed them, what the chronology was. It's a very, very hard case to make. I just think in general, we should not be looking to make criminal cases against our political opponents. We should leave that to the electoral process. If there are clear, unequivocal cases, like the Nixon case, then I think prosecution is appropriate. But in general, we should err on the side of leaving it to the political process rather than the criminal justice system.
Professor, thank you. Appreciate you being with us.